Liz get a new top?
No, we've seen that before. Never with that skirt.
Should probably stop staring before it gets creepy, though.
Too late. You guys are losers.
So, to become an Avenger, are there, like, trials or an interview?
Just don't do anything I would do. And definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's a little gray area in there, and that's where you operate.
Oh.
All right?
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you. All right, kid. Good luck out there.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's review. We are talking about Spider-Man. I'm Ryan. I'm a Cinemaholic.
I'm Spencer, and I'm a Cinemaholic.
And I'm Steven, a Cinemaholic.
You want to introduce it?
So, Spider-Man Homecoming. This is the first movie of Spider-Man where he enters the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it takes place right after Captain America Civil War, a few months after. And not only does it have Spider-Man, but it has Iron Man, and they introduce Vulture, who's a villain they've been trying to get into Spider-Man movies for at least 10 years.
Long time, yeah. What do you think about it, Spence?
Okay, so I want to start off by saying when Raimi's first Spider-Man movie came out, I think it was, 2001, I think was the year it was released. I was real young. I was a strapping young lad. And I remember watching that movie and my mind just being blown. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, I remember I used to like shimmy up the walls in my hallways and thought I was Spider-Man. I literally was like, like my hands don't stick to the walls, but maybe I am Spider-Man. And then the 2004 Spider-Man 2 came out, and favorite superhero movie of all time. Not today, but then I could not believe what I was seeing on screen. I was just like, this is so cool. Who knew a movie could be this cool? And then Spider-Man 3 happened, and I feel like since then the series has been on a decline. I think I've talked about this with you guys. I hate The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I think they are both titanic pieces of trash. I literally think that both those movies are just horrible movies. So I was very reluctant, dragging my feet, walking into this movie. And overall, I think that this is a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good, solid MCU movie. Love the treatment of the character. I think Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man. I also think the supporting cast is awesome in this movie. Particularly, I really liked Michael Keaton's Vulture. And the thing that I liked about him as the Vulture is his motivations to be the villain, I thought were really clear and better developed than the majority of MCU villains. In fact, maybe even any MCU villains. I know tons of people really like Loki, and I think Loki's well developed, but I don't particularly love him as a villain. So my biggest gripes with this movie is it suffers from the same thing that Ant-Man does, in my opinion, where the MCU ties in the movie get in the way of some elements of the story. In my opinion, I did like some of the MCU ties, like how Spider-Man's always wanting to be a part of the Avengers and have them recruit him and them take him off to do some other job. It starts off with this really clever kind of vlogs of the events of Civil War that I was really dug that. But then they're super interesting side characters. Lots of the students that he goes to school with, they go on this decathlon trip. And I really wanted to see more of them. And I feel like some of the MCU characters got in the way of developing those characters more. So I kind of wish it could have been its own thing. Because when we were balancing the kind of John Hughesy high school movie with him trying to be a superhero at the same time, I was having a total blast with this movie. And I do think for the most part it did a good job staying contained, but there were too many MCU scenes in my opinion. So, Steven, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought of Spider-Man Homecoming?
So I think you pretty well summed it up. Just my history with Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. I had a similar experience as a kid. Except my difference from you, my friend, is that I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and The Amazing Spider-Man is probably my favorite. And I went back to see if it held up, and to me, it did. I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but I don't know. It just submerges me the most, and I have the most fun with that one. Then the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man, I feel like that has some of the most iconic superhero moments of all time, especially like the bridge scene where you see Mary Jane in one eye and the crowd in the other eye, and I just love that moment. So this one, I think maybe I'm extra critical just because Spider-Man's my baby, and for me, the John Hughes moments were my favorite, the high school moments, and it had some really funny moments. And overall, I think it was a pretty strong movie. Crowds are gonna love this. I agree. It had too many Avenger tie-ins. Like part of the problem, good and bad, of the MCU is that they build on each other, and so people feel invested and they feel a sense of like, oh, I'm a smart person if they pick up on all the Avenger tie-ins. But like, if you've never seen any of the other ones, like the exploding little alien bombs and stuff, that would be really confusing in my opinion. So yeah, some of those tie-ins were too much. I think they totally did awesome with the coming of age theme. I think that came full circle, and it really paid off. And some of those, not giving spoilers away, but the full coming of age moments were my favorite, and I thought those were really strong.
I think that's what makes a really good, I wouldn't say this is an origin story, but it is more of a, it's the starter.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the theme that really works for origin, is when it is kind of coming of age and they're trying to balance whether it be growing up in high school or just kind of figuring out who they are as a person. I really liked that aspect of Doctor Strange. And I felt like that really worked because he was still trying to figure out who he was and balance that. And then you bring on the superhero element with that. So I think that really did work here. He's like laughing at me.
He's like Doctor Strange.
No, I just totally forgot about Doctor Strange, that he was even in the MCU till you just brought him up. So I was trying not to laugh, but
well, this is derailed. But yeah, I really liked it.
Iron Man,
right? Let's not even talk about that movie because
Doctor Strange. I like Doctor Strange.
I liked it, but it was like a rehash. And Spider-Man. On subject here, Spider-Man. I personally, I feel like me and you, Spence, had talked about it, but I think I had Spider-Man fatigue. I really enjoy him, and I had similar experiences as you guys as well with the first and second, but I don't know. I wasn't as excited as I could have been, but I was still pretty excited for it, and I think it paid off. The more I think about it, I didn't come out of the movie as in love as I hoped I would have, but the more I think about it, the more it works. I don't really find many faults on second and third thought. It's more of I'm thinking of the highlights over and over again.
I think, to make it clear, Spence, I love Amazing Spider-Man. My least favorite Spider-Man movie is probably Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, because it's the worst. Like Amazing Spider-Man 2, I can't. I don't
want you to have a complete tainted view of my Spider-Man opinion.
I figured you were talking about Amazing Spider-Man 1 because I bet there's nobody out there who's like, what's your favorite Spider-Man movie? It's like Amazing Spider-Man 2. There's no one out there who's like that.
But the three franchises, in my opinion, they all have pros and cons. And if I think this latest one is a solid movie, maybe it lacks some emotion. But I think it's apples versus oranges versus bananas type thing.
So I'd say, I'm an apples person. I still think Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, but this is definitely number 2 for me. I'd say, and I think that Tom Holland is hands down the best Spider-Man. There were just like some things that about this movie that were so well done that it made me wish that I liked the movie just a little bit better. Like his friend, Ned. I don't know who I'll look up the actor who played him.
Kid.
Yeah. Jacob Batalon. I hope that's his name. He was awesome. I love their friendship in this movie. They have a great like Lego Star Wars kind of like reference that was just awesome in my opinion. And there were lots of moments between the two, like, you know, just like crushing on girls like in high school and like all that stuff. I loved so much. Like I loved it in this movie. And I honestly really liked the final confrontation between the villain and Spider-Man, and kind of he has a limitation that Tony Stark puts on him from confiscating an item, to kind of put it vaguely. And I thought that made a really interesting final showdown between him and the villain, because he had to find the power from within himself, and they didn't have to come out and spell it out to you with the line, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, but they basically do kind of imply that that's the case. So yeah, overall I think I really enjoyed this movie. Anyone else, anything to add?
I wanted to my one big negative, and it's not a huge negative really, I was actually Snapchatting you about it, was there were a few people in the movie that I was like, it's them kind of a thing, and it wasn't a bad thing, but it did for a moment take me out of the movie because I saw those guys. Though Guilfoyle, I don't know what the actor's name is, but I didn't even recognize him. Yeah, he's awesome, and I really liked him in this movie. But the one character that I didn't like was actually Flash. Is that his name?
The bully.
I didn't like. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really like.
I thought he did good. I
like him as an actor, but yeah, I didn't really like his interpretation of the
so that kid's he's Zero from Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah,
that's where I saw him. Yeah, he was a little cartoony as the villain. They set up something early in the movie at the party. You know the Ned gives away in gym class, and I thought that was gonna have a payoff in the movie, and they never really even address it, because I thought there was gonna be the 80s kind of vibe of let's stick it to the bully at the end of the movie, and they never really did that. So,
and I think maybe that has some attribute as to why I didn't really dig him as a character. But overall, I can't come up, like I said, I can't come up with many complaints. So do you want to go around and score it?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna end up giving this an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm gonna go back and see it again, probably one or two more times, for sure. I'm definitely gonna go see The Big Sick first because it's out near us. But I loved it. I'd definitely go see it. What'd you give it, Spence?
I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoy this movie. I think that if you have any interest in the MCU, it's obviously an essential watch. And I really think that this movie is an enjoyable film. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of Ant-Man, which I did enjoy Ant-Man a lot. I don't want to sound like I'm being a negative Nancy on this. I just wish that some of these movies would focus more on just being a standalone movie rather than having to, appeal to the MCU fans, because we're all there because we're MCU fans. So
right. I agree.
That's my 2 cents. Steven, what would you score?
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.25.
The lowest of us all.
Yep.
Ooh. That's why he doesn't come on reviews with us every week.
Leave your hater comments for Steven, everybody.
I'm just 0.25 behind you. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Spider-Man, but it's still really good.
Well, all right. Stay at home. What Steven means to say is stay at home and watch Amazing Spider-Man rather than go see this. I think that's what he means, right, Ryan?
Yep, that's what I heard.
Right, Steven?
Exactly.
But Amazing Spider-Man 1, not 2. Okay, so stay tuned, everybody, because next week we're going to be talking about War War for the Planet of the Apes. It would be cool if it was the fourth in the series and it was War for the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, sorry.
You should be their marketing director, Spence.
If I did.
I'd give you a plug if I had the connections.
Just be like, did you miss number 3? So did we. This is War 4.
Just like, yeah, make some crappy like handheld camera of like a person in a gorilla mask and call it, I don't know.
You mean?
But you'd have to incorporate some clever way to say 3.
You mean Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Don't mess with that one. That one's a classic. Okay, so yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes. We're getting kind of off topic here, guys. But and then yeah, there's some great movies coming out for the rest of this month. We have Dunkirk coming up, and we have Valerian coming up, and then yeah, Emoji Movie. So it's a great month to be alive, isn't it, everybody? Well, anyways, we're going on real long. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHand. Ryan, Steven, where can they find you guys?
Right there. Follow me on Twitter at Rye_Gordon.
And come visit me at Cinemark in Orem. I'll probably be sweeping popcorn.
Awesome.
Well, guys, until next time, bye.